Shalom, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Family Bible Talk. I think I'm going to start this one off today. This is going to be a very quick video. My daughter had sent me a video, and it was funny because it was Thursday. We went to the bank. So it was last Thursday, I believe. I might be wrong. Today is what? What's today's date? Today's the 16th. So last Thursday, we walked into the bank. We were having some troubles with Wells Fargo. I was looking at my online bank account and all my totals, everything was completely off. There were things that I couldn't even see. It was wild. And so it's crazy, but my daughter had sent me this video like shortly thereafter. So let's just go ahead and play the video right quick behind us.
Some very important stuff to share with you. We're going to be talking about all of the training drills that took place in Los Angeles recently, and then I'm going to share something else that happened with you nationwide that coincided with this. Because while the mainstream has everyone distracted with the Grammys and with Drake, meanwhile, your army is conducting training in Los Angeles in the Long Beach area, and this was all throughout last week. And truthfully, folks, it would not surprise me if they're also doing it this week and if they're continuously doing this all throughout the nation behind closed doors. And what are they training for? Well, you're about to find out, and pay careful attention how this is the Army, because this report from KTLA says military aircraft continued zipping around the greater LA area, and this is last week, as U.S. Army Special Operations Team carried out the second day of urban training exercises, officials said. The training began last Monday and is scheduled to continue, so it was all throughout last week, that LAPD said in a written statement. The Black Hawk helicopters and other military machines made their way throughout the LA area at low altitude, and that's something else that many residents reported, how they were at very low altitudes. Some residents also reported hearing explosions and other loud noises. Quote, residents may hear sounds associated with the training, including aircraft and weapon simulations. Citizens in close proximity to the areas where the training will take place will be notified prior to the training, and this is according to a statement. The Army is coordinating its activities with local, county, and state officials, as well as private property owners. Now pay very careful attention to that, because when I show you the footage, you'll know exactly what they're really getting ready for. Now also note the timing of all this, because that's what we do on this channel a whole lot, is the timing of all this. Is this a surprise or a coincidence, considering this is coming right after the record-long government shutdown in America? And by the way, they're still going to decide on the 15th, so in a few days from now, whether or not the government's going to shut down again, or whether or not a national emergency is going to be declared in America. Either way, we're going to be keeping you updated as it gets closer. But not only that, along with the polar vortex, and just recently, there's even been reports of snow in Hawaii. Do you see what's really going on and what time it really is? But now we're going to show you some of the footage.
According to the LAPD, it's all part of a U.S. Army training exercise to teach soldiers skills and how to operate in an urban environment. The department said residents could hear weapon simulations. Officials say the local terrain in Los Angeles provides the Army with unique locations and environments that service members may encounter when deployed overseas. But some people here feel they should have been warned about this.
Now, we talked about this in our report from Geostorm that we covered, the movie. Do you see how they're putting the truth right in front of you? And we also gone over it, and we noted it that what? Deploying the UN in the middle of the winter with record cold weather. What does that sound like? Didn't America just experience a recent polar vortex? And then literally a week after the polar vortex, this takes place in Los Angeles. But that's not the only thing that took place. Because at the same precise time, this also took place nationwide. And we've gone over this before, but once again, pay careful attention, because it says what? Wells Fargo customers are having trouble accessing ATMs, credit cards, and online accounts. Smoke at a Wells Fargo server farm caused a
So,
nationwide banking outage. Now, again, pay careful attention to the timing of all of this, because when did it take place? Is it more testing and preparation? What are they getting ready for? And not only that, but folks, it also could have affected other banks and other accounts as well. This report right here says that Wells Fargo customers have been unable to access their accounts and, in some cases, haven't received scheduled direct deposits because of a power outage on Thursday. So this was as of last week. That continued when into Friday morning, so barely 3 days ago. Do you see the issue with this? Anytime you see this when it comes to banking or outages, you know that those are what? Red flags. It's time to see the warning signs ahead of time, because as we've gone over countless of times on.
all right, so here's where we're at with this thing. Normally, you know, let me choose my words wisely, right? I am very inclined to scriptural prophecy, right? But I can't run around in fear. When I see, you know, signs of the end times, the best thing for me to do is to get closer to the Most High, right? But this kind of hit home because, like I said, my daughter had sent me this video after I experienced this. I was literally one of those people who looked at the banking app and everything was off in my account. I'm like, what? But the first thing I thought, I told you, I said, look at that. You trying to save money in such and such or whatever, and you know, people out here, they're gonna think they're okay with their banks, but at any given time, you could wake up one morning and your money will be gone. And you know what my thought was? So what? Right? Brother, I've lived without money before. I can live without money again. That money, you know, whatever was in my account does not define me. I don't care if it was $1 million in there. I was at a complete resolve, remember? Where it was like, you know what, I'm not really worried about this money. You know, at the time I had something to do with the money. I had to go pay a bill or something like that, so I had to get that squared away. But the most deepest part of me was like, you know what? I expect something like this to happen. You almost desire that time. But before he started talking about Wells Fargo, he was talking about the military testing to get soldiers prepared to work and operate in an urban setting, right, True? So I'm like, here you have, this is similar to the Jade Helm videos and the Rex 84 videos and things of that nature. And yes, people should be aware. But at the end of the day, we always said, listen, when prophecy starts coming to pass, we understand it's got to get worse before it gets better. We almost might be like, where have you been when these soldiers come up in here? Because what they're going to do for us is they're going to what? They're going to confirm prophecy for us. So you better mind sharp, because some people who have been knowing this thing is going to go down all along, we're not just running to our cellars to go get our water and our cans of beans and our military rations. We're not doing that. Because everybody that do that, you're only going to have so much food for so much time. You know, everybody who has a sense will have some rations, right? But listen, you're going straight to the Most High. It says, in the days of famine, we shall be satisfied. So I'm watching this and I'm like, man, I'm happy because, my daughter had showed me the video. That means she's studying, she's looking at things. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, at the end of the day, the Most High tells us how the righteous is going to survive these things. Now, all these conspiracies, what's this guy, Truth Unveiled, right? You got another guy, Dabu7, and these guys, they put out these awesome videos, right? But now you're all, with these conspiracy theories, and everybody's on the edge of their seat, just like, some of these conspiracy people who, respond poorly to these conspirators, right? They're just shaking in their boots. What are you going to do when it actually happens? The Most High said, set thy heart aright. Right? Peter told Christ, he said, look, I will never betray you. No one knows what they're really capable of. This is where the fasting and the prayer comes in. Will you take the chip? We believe the chip is something similar, if not the RFID chip, the mark of the beast. Excuse me. We believe the mark of the beast is something similar to that, where all your monies, right, will be transferred onto this chip that will be either in your right hand or in your head. Matter of fact, I think you had brought out, right, that the chip that they try to put in people's hand, it doesn't work in the left hand. Did you not bring that out?
Yeah, as far as with your right hand or your dominant hand, you have the most, I guess, electrical current in the right hand. And test shows that on the left hand, it didn't work as well, or didn't work at all in most subjects.
At all. But brother, I want to make this video short and sweet so my folks will watch it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do a long video, but that's crazy. The Most High had it to where prophecy has to come this way. The Bible said that this chip would be in your right hand, and this chip that they're trying to use right now, that people are actually using throughout the earth, only works in your right hand. Right? So we're looking at all this future prophecy, and we're saying, listen, where are we going to stand when it all happens? I mentioned Peter. I said that brother, when things hit the fan and they came to get Christ, he was just scared at the moment because he hadn't prepared himself mentally for that. But Christ kept saying, there's going to come a time where they're going to come and get me. You have to mentally prepare yourself. The scripture says, sin, all these things shall be dissolved. What manner of person ought thou to be? You got to go into your charity. You got to go into your study. You got to go into your prayers. You got to go into your fasting. In the name of Ahayah, Ahayah. Because yes, they hid the Most High's name from us, so that way we would be confused as to who to kneel down, face the east, and cry to. I don't want to go back into that. I had a conversation real quick with a brother today, and we understood. You remember that video you talked about with how they made the bullet points, the Hebrew, and made it confusing. They thought it was funny. You know what I'm talking about?
As far as adding the syllables?
Yeah.
Not syllables, with the vowel sounds and adding extra letters inside the words that totally messed up the whole meaning, like the Hawa, mainly the Hawa, things of that nature.
So we were looking, and we know that the Hebrew is a direct language, but this video that we were checking out was these scholars that were laughing at how confusing they made modern Hebrew to throw us off. We know that Hebrew is a direct language. The Most High said, I will return to you a pure language. After you get put in captivity, I'm going to give you a pure language again, right? So I don't want to go off the topic. I'm sticking with this topic, but I said that to say this. I talked to a brother who actually helped teach me the Hebrew 20 years ago. Lashon Kodash is what we call it, the original basic Hebrew, right? The ancient Hebrew, right? And I said, brother, I remember being taught that is Hayah, or be, or it, be or is Hayah. So if anything, instead of saying Yahweh, which is Yahweh, right, you would say Yahayah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Go back and watch our video, right? Ahayah, what is it? Ahayah equals O Lord, right? And you'll see that the name of the Most High is Ahayah. Go back and watch that video. Go back and watch some of the Gathering of Christ Church videos that prove the name of the Most High is Ahayah, right? Because there are people, right? In Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, it says that sought purposely to change the Most High's name so that way when we need him the most, instead of calling on our God, we end up calling on their God. Hava means mischief. Yah means Lord. Lord, mischief. Every time you pray. And wonder why we end up in so much trouble as a people. But let's continue. So I'm in the bank, and I'm like, I got to fix this stuff. I don't know what's going on. They explained to me about this power shortage. My daughter comes and shows me a video of something I had just experienced. I thought that was strange. So this guy's talking about the Wells Fargo and all this thing happening during the government shutdown, right? And what else? All the military training in the cities, in the urban places, right? And we're like, okay, what does that mean for the believers now? Well, let's see what the scriptures say. Let's go into it.
You got Matthew chapter 10, verse 23, 28.
Come on.
Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul.
We have to have this mentality. A lot of brothers have been jumping and getting up and saving money and moving out of the country. I know brothers that have been gone for years. I know brothers who left and came back. But there are people, a lot of people who won't be able to leave this country. They financially will not be able to. Some brothers is on paperwork, felonies, and cannot get, paperwork, to be able to get out of the country. Yeah, some people are not going to be able to leave. So there's some people who are going to have to rely on the Most High in the dangerous and most toughest of times during prophecy. Am I saying if you don't have the opportunity, if you have the opportunity not to go? No. I'm saying, but your spirit got to be right no matter where you go. He said, fear what?
Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul.
Man, them soldiers that's training right now, they can kill your body. I don't care if they from Korea, I don't care what country, I don't care if they're from down the street. They can kill your body, but they can't kill your soul. And that's what you're mentally and spiritually preparing for. Right? Go ahead.
But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
You better fear the Most High more than anything. Go ahead.
2 Timothy 1:7. For the Most High has not given us the spirit of fear.
You understand? And when you're not operating in the spirit of fear, the Most High opens up so much more for you. Because when you operate in the spirit of fear, you're showing the Most High you really don't have any faith. But then when you operate in the spirits of patience and working, doors start opening up so you can do things that you want to do. Right? Give me that scripture in 2 Ezra right quick. You got it?
2 Ezra 15 and 17.
Come on with it.
A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Future prophecy. You want to go into a city or leave a city, but you can't. Why? Because there will be military protection, keeping you in and others out. It's called martial law, people. This is biblical prophecy in your Bible. What do you do? Most High said, when it happens, thank the Most High because you're one step closer to the kingdom. Go ahead. You done with that?
Yeah.
Read what you got.
For the Most High hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power.
But of what?
Of power.
And the power, listen, you may not be a powerful person right now, but that's where your prayer and your fasting come in. And let me tell you, when things start really hitting the fan, that's why it's good for you people to start looking at prophecy now. Because you know what? When these people that come to get you, the elite, the wicked, the evil that have a different game plan than the Most High, so to speak. All they're doing is stepping in their own feces. Because they're going to create a monster in you. They're going to make your faith so strong because you'll be saying then, you know what? I know the truth is real. I've been studying this and reading this and hearing about this. And now they're actually here. Now I know the Most High is real. When they come and administer this radio frequency identification chip or whatever shit, which is the mark of the beast in your right hand or in your head. You're going to say, I'm not taking that because whoever takes that chip, you know what you're going to do? You're going to live in peace. You're going to be nice on earth. You're going to have all the wonderful amenities on earth that you have right now. Until destruction hits Babylon from the other nations and you go straight to hell. See, taking a chip is not an option. Those who don't take the chip are going to need to band together and find ways to survive. But taking the chip will make life easier for you. By far. So we're going to have to make a decision at that time. Read.
And of love. And of a sound mind.
A love and a sound mind. I mean, you're at peace with what's about to happen to you. Read.
Psalms 46:2.
Come on with it.
Therefore, we will not fear.
We will not what?
Fear.
Come on.
Though the earth be removed.
Though the what?
Earth be removed.
Come on.
Though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea.
Now, though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. People talking about California. You think the Bible ain't true? They fracking all along the San Andreas fault line. And people is partying in the city of lost angels. You think the Most High is just kidding when he says the mountains will be cast into the sea? Read.
1 Maccabees 1:63. Wherefore, the rather to die.
It said we are rather to die. Go ahead.
That they may not be defiled with meats.
This is the mentality that the brothers had during the time of the Maccabees. I'll tell you a story. I won't read the whole story, but there was a brother named Eleazar. And they told this old man, they said, listen, all the people look up to you. Remember that story?
Yeah.
He said, listen, you can eat this beef, right? You can go ahead and eat this beef. right? And just tell the people that it's pork, so that way the people will follow your example and go ahead and eat the pork. He said, listen, never in a million years would I do that to my people. But this is what all your popular people are doing right now, setting all these negative examples for our children. Eleazar was like, listen, you're going to have to kill me. I know I'm eating pork. I'm eating beef. But if my people think I'm eating pork, not only do I harm them, I harm my own reputation. So look, go ahead and stick the sword wherever you feel like, homeboy. See, that's the mentality that we're going to have. That's where it says in the Apocrypha, right, that we will have all these leaders like Hosea and, Zechariah and Obadiah, meaning men at that point in time, right, will start standing up and acting like their forefathers. Go ahead.
And that they may not profane the holy covenant, so then they die.
So then they what?
Die.
Check that out. People are actually willing to die for this. Because, now that's the thing when you don't believe in heaven or hell. For Israelites to say that there is no hell, this is hell. Hey, good luck with that. Our bravery comes from understanding the doctrine of Christ, right? Hebrews the 6th chapter. We understand the teaching of the afterlife. Your whole time on earth, whether it be a blessing or depressing, is to choose what type of person you want to be, right? Do I want to be a person who lives a certain type of way to make it to the kingdom? Or do I want to be a lavish person who ends up burning in hell in the afterlife? That's what you're doing here. You're deciding for yourself what your eternal salvation is going to look like. It's that simple. These people said, you know what? We believe in the afterlife, that if you kill us right now, we go straight to our Father, into a place of peace. Go ahead.
1 Maccabees 3:59. For it is better for us to die in battle.
Come on.
Than to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary.
Because there were other punk, you know what, let me rewind that. I don't want to say punk. Because you had brothers used to call Martin Luther King all kinds of names. But the brother Martin Luther King said, if any blood shall be shed, let it be yours, homie. There were people now, you understand, in the time of Maccabees that says, we will die in our innocence. I had to respect that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the Maccabees were like, we're not just going to let them kill us, because guess what? These people are sadistic maniacs. Do you think they're just going to kill you? If their goal is really to defile the children of Israel, that's what they're going to do. They want your soul. They're not just going to kill you. So these men knew that they had to fight and be a threat and be a problem. Go ahead.
2 Maccabees 7:1. And it came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken.
So it's going to be a real class, a quick class, like I said. But every time I read this story in 2 Maccabees 7, bro, I'll be almost at the point of tears. I've read this story so many times, but every time I read it, it charges me up. Mainly because of the mother, which you're about to read about if you haven't read about this. Go ahead.
7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh.
To taste swine's flesh. For those of you that say, oh, God dirt don't hurt, or as long as you pray over it, it's good. It's not what go into your mouth that defile a man, it's what come out. No. In that particular story, what Christ was saying was they were getting upset. The Pharisees were upset at the disciples because they didn't wash their hands before they ate. And that was the issue that Christ was dealing with. You worried about us washing our hands. And he was talking about their character. It's not what we were finna eat. It's the way you act. It's the way you operate that defile you. And he was talking about the Pharisees and how they roll. That whole story, that whole history has nothing to do whether or not you should eat pork. The Most High gave us clean meats in Leviticus the 11th chapter. And if you love the Most High, you will follow that. Simple as that. Matthew 5:17, Christ himself said, think not that I come to destroy the law, but to fulfill. Until heaven and earth pass, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. You don't need no other scriptures. That's plain as day. If you don't believe that, that's on you. Good luck. So here is these Israelites were saying, they were telling them, listen, we want you to eat pork. Why? Because they wanted to defile us, right? Similar to the way that they put sex in every movie. And now I'm starting to see penises in movies now, where back in the 80s, it was just breasts. Now it's like, man, 20 years from now, everybody will be naked on regular primetime TV. They're trying to defile your soul. Satan desires the souls of every man, woman, and child on earth. Go ahead. You gonna give it to them?
And were tormented with scourges and whips.
So they beat them because they wanted them to eat pork, because they knew that what? The Most High didn't want them to eat this. They wanted these people to lose their power and connection with God. Hence, the situation, right, of the people of Negroid and Indian descent, and those scattered throughout the South Pacific Islands. We are in trouble. We are the first fired, last hired, all up in the ghettos, slums, barrios, reservations, surviving off of EBT, welfare, Section 8, right? Hurting out here, filling up the prison systems and whatnot. Go ahead.
Verse 2. But one of them that spake first said thus, What wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die, rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers.
Go ahead.
Then the king, being enraged, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot.
Look at these sadistic Romans. They was going to burn these kids alive. Go ahead.
Which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first.
So the one who spoke first, let's cut his tongue out and see if we can make the others be afraid. Normally that works. I mean, it worked all throughout slavery. Kept us in check to this day. We're still in slavery. This is the best slavery ever. The fact that we had chains on and it was whooping us, they made some of us, stronger and closer to our God. We called on God. We got stronger. We had a will to fight because of the way we were being treated. And boom, guys like Nat Turner rose up. But this form of slavery, they're probably kicking their butts thinking, man, we should have did this form of slavery the whole time. Now we're docile, walking into our own graves quietly. Go ahead.
And to cut off the utmost parts of his body, the rest of his brethren and his mother looking on.
So while this brother, stood up to be a leader in his family, they cut his tongue out, his arms, legs, and probably even his private members, right? While his mother and his brothers was watching. Go ahead.
Verse 6, verse 5. Now when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire.
Check that out.
And to be fried in the pan.
The Most High said there's no new thing under the what?
Under the sun.
Check that out. It said the dragon shall be wroth, right, with the woman who keeps the commandments in the book of Revelation 12. I mean, who do these people think that's talking about? The woman is talking about the children of Israel, those people of Negroid and Indian descent, and those scattered throughout the South Pacific Islands, right? The dragon is talking about the elite. They will be upset because there will be one world order and there will be no need for modern religion. Because they're going to say modern religion, weaponry, right? And all that type of stuff starts wars. And they're going to create a utopia with that ship. Almost like the movie Demolition Man. And those who want to live righteously will be forced into the shadows somewhere to survive outside of the grid. And this is the message that they use. This guy stood up for his. Not only did they cut his tongue out, they cut all other extremities off, and then they burned him alive. Because he was still alive. Go ahead.
And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully.
To die how?
To die manfully.
Check that out. Now, the mothers during the time of slavery, they were like, oh, baby, you got to be a good slave. Master, mama love you. Oh, mama love you. You got to be a good slave. We're the same way, and our mothers are the same way to this day. But this black mother right here, Hebrew Israelite black mother right here, told her sons, listen, you're going to be all right. Go through what you got to go through and sit on the right-hand side of the Most High height while you're shy. Go ahead.
Saying thus, the Most High God looketh upon us, and in truth hath comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. Verse 7, so when the first was dead after this number, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair,
They pulled off the skin. So Gad was not, the Native Americans were not the first people to do this. History kind of demonizes Native Americans as these savages who were just, scalping, the settlers for no reason. We have to remember that it was the Native Americans who allowed these people, some of them, into their home and showed them how to survive through the winter. Now, without the help of the Native Americans, these settlers wouldn't have survived. And in return, they get pushed off into the reservations, right? And get labeled as these savages, which is what the word Indian means, right? Savages, who was just ripping people's scalps off. But we read about this happening during the Greek Empire, right? Go ahead.
They asked him, "Wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body?"
They went to the second brother and it's like, are you going to eat or are you going to get done like your brother? Go ahead.
But he answered in his own language and said, "La'ah."
La'ah. He answered his own language, said what?
La'ah.
What did it say? What?
No.
Read it from the top.
But he answered in his own language and said, "No."
And said no. And in the Hebrew, we speak Hebrew. To us, that's La'ah. We speak ancient Hebrew. We don't speak Yiddish. Go ahead.
Wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did.
Check that out. Go ahead.
And when he was at the last gap, he said, "Thou like a fury takest us out of this present life. But the King of the world shall raise us up, who have died for his laws, unto everlasting life."
Check that out.
After him, the third was made a mocking stock.
So now what are they doing? Now they making fun of the third one. Clowning him. Now they trying to psychologically get at him, right? Talking about, you ready to die? You ready to get your arms cut off, boy? Probably swinging his brother's arms at him or something like that. Probably took his brother's foot off the floor or his leg and hitting him with it or something like that, mocking him. Who knows what these sick, twisted maniacs did to these poor people? Go ahead.
And when he was required, he put out his tongue.
But he said, listen, and stuck his tongue out. Be like, come on, baby, cut my tongue out too. Oh, every time I read this story, man, it's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And that right soon, holding forth his hands manfully. And he said courageously, "These I have from heaven, and for his laws I despise them."
Check that out. So he saw that his brother got all his arms and legs cut off, and he held out his and his tongue. Said, "Let's go. My brother's gonna go out, and you think I'm gonna live feeling good about myself, save my own life?" But you know what? That's most of the people in the world. They do that now. People leave their families through divorce and for their own belly and their own greed. So it's not going to be a problem for these people to do that. But that's what hell is for. It's for you. Go ahead.
And from him I hope to receive them again.
That's right.
Insomuch that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage.
Man, they couldn't help but respect the young man. Go ahead.
For that he nothing regarded the pains. Now when this man was dead also.
Now this was a child, but now it calls him a man because he operated like a man. You brothers and sisters out there need to start teaching everyone in your family strength, relentlessness. Instead of watching videos like the one we just watched, so many people just terrified, scared to death. You got to start preparing your heart, preparing your spirit to have a certain type of love in you. You see, when you got enough love in you, you ain't afraid of a damn thing. I done heard about mothers who picked up their babies, right, that was stuck under vehicles. That love that they had gave them a strength that they never had before. Right? Go ahead.
They tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, "It is good, being put to death by men, to look for hope from the Most High, to be raised up again by him."
What a beautiful thing. Go ahead.
"As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life."
As for you, in the book of Josephus, it says that the people that were sick, or people that were dying, they will be resurrected in those same sickly, dying bodies only to be burned in the lake of fire for eternity. But as for those who did well, right? Maybe you were sick. Maybe you weren't the most attractive person in the world. Maybe, you had some things that you just couldn't get by in life like you want to. You lived a life of depression and sadness. But guess what? You serve the Most High. The Most High said, Book of Corinthians, in the twinkling of an eye, we shall all be changed and given perfect bodies. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. This world is temporary. Don't sweat it. This too will pass. Whatever you're going through will pass. Whatever they bring to us will pass. We just have to remain faithful, strong, and prayerful. Go ahead.
Verse 30. While she was yet speaking these words,
come on,
the young man said, Whom wait ye for?
So the mama is telling her boys to die manfully and be strong and go through what they finna go through. In the midst of his mama's speech, he looks at Antiochus Epiphanes and said, What you waiting on? I ain't got all day. I pray you, brothers and sisters, teach your family, start getting that spirit going among yourselves now. Go ahead.
But I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto us.
Not obeying the king's commandment. I'm going to obey the law of the Most High. Go ahead.
That was given unto our fathers by Moses. For we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Lord be angry with us,
He is angry with us for what?
A little while.
He is the Most High. So that's why a lot of people don't believe in the truth. A lot of people are atheists because they're like, if God loves us, why we living this way? Well, it's people that do bull crap. Karma is a mug. Sometimes we suffer. The scripture even tell you that. Sometimes people suffer for the sins of their fathers. People getting, diseases and stuff because of their diets. The Most High gave us the Levitical law, the dietary law, for a reason. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked. And if we do things the way the wicked want, we suffer. And because we choose to do things that way instead of the Most High's way, the Most High is angry with us. And we see it in our families throughout the earth. Go ahead.
For a little while, for our chastening and correction. Yet shall he be at one again. Yet shall he be at one again with his servants.
Check that out. Go ahead.
Verse 38. And that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon our nation, may cease.
He said, you know what? We're going through this right now, but eventually it's going to stop. But the wrath that is brought upon our nation is rightly brought upon us. And it's true. Because some of the most evilest people in the world is our own people. We quick to point the finger at everybody else, but all the stuff that's making the Most High upset with us, our people are still doing it instead of changing and coming back to the Most High so Christ can intervene and get us out of here. They continue in the way that they want to do things. And it's prolonging our stay in this filthy place where right now people are being hurt for no reason. Go ahead.
So this man died undefiled.
This man died how?
Undefiled.
How?
Undefiled.
How?
Undefiled.
He did not allow fear to stop him from getting to the bosom of Abraham. Go ahead.
And put his whole trust in the Lord.
And put some of his trust in the Lord.
His whole trust in the Lord.
Oh my God, my Wells Fargo bank account ain't working. Oh my God, they're training in the cities. What are they going to do? They're going to put us in FEMA camps, concentration camps. What do we do? And what?
And put his whole trust in the Lord.
Read.
Last of all, after the sons, the mother died.
She died also. To me, the most beautiful one in the story is the mother, because a lot of times our mothers feminize our sons. Instead of teaching our sons to be strong and fight and serve the Most High like strong Israelite men and being the leaders of their household, we're taught to be followers in our household. We're taught to not speak up, not stand up. We're taught to not be the leaders of our homes. But this woman right here, this black woman right here, this sister, was an example to all women, white women, Chinese women, every kind of woman. This woman is an example to all people, actually. Stand up for yours and believe in the Most High in time of danger. Go into prayer. If they cut your tongue out, they can't cut your inner brain out. right? That side where you pray internally and you're praying and crying to your Most High to give you strength. They can't cut that out. They're going to have to kill you to get that. Go ahead.
Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the adulterous feast
Mm-hmm.
and the extreme tortures.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 29. Fear not this tormentor.
If they're what?
Fear not this tormentor.
One more time.
Fear not this tormentor.
Don't fear the tormentors that will come. Go ahead.
But being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brethren.
Oh my goodness. So with that, I just want to say, it's kind of a gory story, right? It's a gory story, but it's a very, very touching story because it's about people who love the Most High so much that not even fear of death was enough to stop them. And I pray that spirit for all of you watching, for every person watching this video, whoever comes across this video, I pray that spirit to you and your family, that in a time of fear, in a time of dread, you stand strong and pray on your God, Ahaya, while you're shy. And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.